Confirmation, also known as The Final Day Part 1. This is the season finale for Season 5. Jesus Christ, it has been a rough ride for me personally because me trying to keep up with all these episodes was taking a bit long, and because of my unfortunate schedule at home, and of course my unfortunate schedule in college as well. Yeah, I don't know why it took me this long, but finally, we're here. And I think this is still a recent topic about, the finale, so we're gonna talk right into it. Also, by the time of this recording, there is a extra episode after part 2. I haven't watched part 2 yet, and I haven't watched the extra episode, but that extra episode seems to be like a prologue for season 6, or something like that. There might be a reason towards it, who knows? I saw the thumbnail for it, I just didn't watch it yet. So I'm just assuming here, but I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Further ado, let's begin. We start the video, of course we'll start the video with this, but we're starting the episode, I should say, with looking at Kagami and Adrien. Looks like they're kind of suffering here just because, they're in confinement at this point. Don't know why there's multiple rooms for confinement, but maybe. These might be cameras that are looking at the 2 doors or where they're contained. Now, for this part, we do hear the news about, more about the world knowing about Adrien and Kagami being a thing, right? And basically are in London to do their thing, right? They're just kind of, Kagami's upset, of course, and Adrien is just kind of suffering here. Monarch basically activates an Akuma, and basically akumatizes himself again as Gabriel. So he becomes the guy with the nightmare dust, of course, and then he later uses the Miraculous of the mouse and the Miraculous of, well, I think the rooster or the chicken. Or was it the phoenix? Cannot decide. There's those are only 3 birds I can think of with doing that miraculous. Either way, he granted himself the ability to fly, and then he multiplied himself, used Voyage to spread the nightmare dust across the world. Now, yes, that's right. This whole thing is a global scale. Unfortunately, throughout this episode and possibly part 2, I'm not so sure, we're still going to be in Paris. But this whole thing is basically a global scale threat he just did here. Why? Is the plan with the Alliance. This will be explained later in the video, but I'll explain this now. The reason why he's doing this is so that everybody can have their worst nightmares come true. Then, with Tsurugi's help, they'll put in the free app that actually helps to calm the person down, and it works efficiently, as we'll see later. It's a free app on the ring, and doing it will basically, calm them all down. But they'll later deactivate, put the app offline, so everybody can actually feel the panic attack at the same time. So that all that negativity will just be there, right? That'll be enough energy for, Monarch to do his own thing. I'm sorry, just a bit of gas. But yeah, it'll just be for his Monarch to do his own Monarch Hakma thing. So after that, he'll have the favor of all the people after basically, taking that away from them and reactivating the app. Gabriel basically says that I can actually, help them. Well, how does he help them? We'll see that later in the episode. So you might be wondering, why is Marinette dressed up as a knight? Now the thing is, the reason why is this is her dream. This is basically her trying to save Adrien. But in this nightmare, she kind of just accidentally obliterate Gabriel after she realized it was Gabriel who was the evil dragon who was protecting Adrien's quote unquote. She tripped over, touched the sword used the sword to touch Gabriel. He disintegrated, and then Adrien was just upset. And then Marinette woke up from that dream. If you remember from before, from Adrien from the last episode, he does get these minor headaches when he is reliving, or at least talking about these, nightmares, or at least something related to that. For now, at this point in time, it looks like the nightmare dust is a bit more stronger in this incarnation of the akumatization, as right now just the thought of the nightmare actually brings big headaches, basically, makes their head hurt. Not only that, it's just talking about what their nightmares are also correlates to this, and also any decisions that actually correlates with that. Basically, shooting up their, panic rating, as they would say, as Gabriel would say. It would just increase their panic level. We should say that. But Marinette's not the only one. As I said before, this is a global scale, but we're only seeing this throughout the people of Paris, or at least the characters we know. While it's not the same, screenshot as I was described here later, both Marinette's parents are also having nightmares. Basically, the dad is like, Marinette's not stop eating because Adrien's gone, and she would just shrink up, and then she got eaten by a mouse or a rat. I don't know which. And then there's, Marinette's mom, who actually has the nightmare where, the father got the nightmare, and he turned to Werebaker again, and basically has an army of croissants protecting Marinette. Basically, her husband being kumtized, that's her nightmare. Later downstairs, Alia did try to come over to Marinette, but then later she has these, of course, nightmare panics as well, as she realized that being here might not be the best idea, because her nightmare is basically her being akumatized and telling Monarch where and who is Ladybug. That's her nightmare. Why is she here? She panicked. You can say that. But yeah, it's just kind of weird to say about that. But yeah, I don't know. I know I'm not being a little confusing here, but it's kind of a weird choice on her part, because I don't know how to explain why she's actually here. Maybe just for exposition. Realizing this, Marinette really needs to actually know where Adrien is and if he's safe, because even she doesn't know where he is. He knows at London, but she wants to know if Adrien's okay, so she's going to Nathalie. Kiki asked, what about Alia? She said, Adrien first, we'll see Nathalie, and then Alia, because she just needs to know because of the nightmares she's having. Now, to be honest, this might be like, why is Marinette doing this? You probably would know this later on, or maybe it's not kind of explaining right here. It looks like anybody who has the nightmare, their first reaction is to check the person and see if they're okay, or see if the person they have a nightmare of has came true, or so on and so forth, basically. That's kind of everybody's first reaction, which is actually pretty normal and kind of justified. It is a bit out of character for Marinette specifically, but in terms of context with every other character, it makes sense. So she's gonna put all this huge bag of croissants. Yeah, this is a whole bag of croissants inside this little box. Yeah, okay, honestly, I don't know how this fits in there, but I think the box grew bigger at another angle. I don't know. Adrien, still having that same nightmare from the previous episode, basically wakes up in a panic. Now, this is the point where Gabriel is trying to give the Alliance ring to Adrien. Now, Plague, later on in the scene, tells Adrien to just transform into Cat Noir. Now, here's the thing. Adrien says he can't because there's a lot of reasons. And Plague was trying his best to, fix all these problems so he can just transform into Cat Noir. But Adrien says no, because first, cameras around everywhere. He disabled them. The camera is in the machine instead, unfortunately. So, Adrien does his thing and he turns up the volume on the ring so Gabriel cannot hear. Unfortunately, Gabriel lowered the volume on his side. Adrien is thinking one step ahead on thinking of what his father would do. And unfortunately, there are some other things that he knows that he cannot really help with, and there's no other stuff that Plague would know about to actually help him here. So the only decision that Adrien could make now is to basically take off the ring, give it to Plague, and let Plague find somebody else to be Cat Noir at this point. Because here's the thing, even if all of this, even if he did disable anything that his father has for surveillance, the problem is that since he has negative emotions right now, as in stress, panic, that sort of deal, he would get akumatized. And then he would probably transform to either anti-cat as his the name of his villain name in his nightmare. I like Chat Blanc better, honestly. But yeah, Anti-Cat. He's afraid that he'll get acclimatized as Cat Noir, and he'll just, you know, be able to destroy the whole world because of his negativity. That's about it. Kind of a little sad, but that's pretty much true. So Adrien has this excuse, honestly. And to be honest, if this is the reason why a lot of people say that Cat Noir should have been in the finale, which, to be honest, I would say kind of true, as some of the context throughout what they said. I cannot say for sure, but I'll say this now. I don't know if this is what people are referring to, and to be honest, if this is the reason why people say like Cat Noir should have been in the finale, of like, no, in honesty, this is the right move for Adrien. He knows what to do exactly. If he could just transform and just bust his way out, that wouldn't really be a good way for a finale, basically. And yeah, it would just be a very big cop-out, honestly. But I don't know, maybe there's a lot of Cat Noir fans, and I'm a Cat Noir fan too. It's just that in this point in time, he's doing the right decision, and if he's trapping here, makes sense, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have to wait until like part 2 to make a good decision on that, because as of now, it's not going in the favor of people wanting Cat Noir to jump into battle here, because you know how much risk he's had to do here? And besides, Kagami might be close by. He doesn't know that too, so there's another thing to think about. If there's somehow a random way that Adrien could just escape without anyone noticing, you could think of it yourself. I just don't think it would be possible, basically. There's a lot of cameras around here. Even if Plague disabled the one in the room, there's a lot of other cameras out there, so yeah, I don't know. That's just my opinion, of course. Maybe you guys could figure out maybe a good way for Cat Noir to be in battle here. But that's kind of the spoilers I got from the finale, basically. So yeah. So as of now, it's a good reason why he's not there, and pretty good reason. It's pretty much justify why he's not going to be here in the finale, at least as Cat Noir. Unless there is in part 2 where he just randomly be Cat Noir in battle, so like, I don't know. At this point in time, Kagami and Adrien did put on the alliance rings and turn on the app, and their stress levels has gone down because now in their happy state, which by mean I mean calm. We later go to Nathalie's side, and Nathalie's in her own nightmare dream as well. You can tell that basically this would be a nightmare because for one thing, later in this scene, I don't have any more screenshots, but for this scene after this, like for a few seconds, but there are like a lot of hollow screens around Paris, and then later she has this big headache, and then there's just a giant hawk moth, basically, or like giant monarch after having used 2 miraculous and down making wish, and then everything just goes kaboom, right? But you can tell this is also a nightmare or a dream because her hair is normal, with her eyes being normal as well, not dark sunken and gray hair like she was when we last saw her. Later, Nathalie woke up, and then she starts basically trying to do a recording for Adrien if he ever comes back, hoping that one day Adrien will understand the absolute truth about his father and what his father was planning. Unfortunately, she did stop halfway when she realized her hunting gear. Nathalie is with her hunting crossbow. She's going downstairs and probably going to the office of Gabriel and coming down where Emily resides to actually put a stop to him. And what I mean by to stop him is going to kill him. She is actually thinking at this point that is the only way to stop him. But maybe she could change his mind if you know, he was threatened. I don't know how much she's gonna do with that, but it's a noble effort. So you can tell that later on we'll see that she's actually limping her way, even with the prosthetics helping her. She's not actually that good to actually, you know, get all the way down. You can also see that I think it's just an animation error. Her bang is supposed to be gray at this area, and I think there's some gray, but there's mostly a lot of red there, so maybe just an animation error. Also, if you're wondering how we get this angle, Marinette's actually inside the Gabriel household. Marinette, seeing that she has a chance, she goes inside, basically, Nathalie's room and check out everything. We cut back to the Resistance, and yeah, they're all on their alliance rings using the app. As you can see, Milen is the only person who is not using the ring because she hates it, as you know, it disrupts the balance of life, because you know it's a machine and then it destroys nature, all that stuff. You know, it's a good effort, but she's taking a bit extreme. After she sees Ivan, she tries to calm him down, and while Ivan actually is calmed down by this, the nightmare panics, flashes back in again, and he puts on the ring again, meaning that at this point everybody is reliant on the alliance at this point. And of course, Nino is trying to convince Malin to wear the ring, and she does wear the ring, reluctantly, of course. Gabriel is here with Emily, as there was an alarm going off in the room where Emily is. The thing is that he didn't realize Nathalie was the one who set it off, and she stepped out of the shadows, pointing the crossbow right at him. It was a very intense moment, of course. Of course, Gabriel is trying to put on a conning face, basically lying to her like, I would not be such a monster. I would never sacrifice a human life, would I? At this point, Nathalie can tell that he is pretty much lying, and while she was about to pull the trigger, he just discombobulated Nathalie, and basically after this, Nathalie fell unconscious for a while, and Monarch carried her back to her room, which Ladybug is still in there. Ladybug, knowing all this stolen stuff and then Nathalie's stuff here too, she looks into everything and she realized that Nathalie was actually helping Monarch this whole time. Unfortunately, she cannot escape, and then she later tried to message Cat Noir about all this, right? And then the big reveal, Gabriel de-transforms and of course shows his true identity and talking to Nathalie. Ladybug saw all of this, so Ladybug now knows that Gabriel is Monarch. She later tries to message Cat Noir, but she's in a state of panic and stress, and she's now frozen with fear because of the stuff that he's saying to Nathalie right now. Yeah, I would too. And this is all rushing to her like a freight train. Oh wait, there's more. After him leaving, she basically musters up the courage to move again and actually asks Nathalie, or at least demanding Nathalie, where is Adrien? Is he safe? What you do to him? Nathalie reassures that Adrien is safe. He's at London, and of course. Then she actually, at this point, she's actually coughing a bit more, which it looks like her time is mostly up. After this, after Marinette, or at least Ladybug here, seeing how much pain that Nathalie is in right now, she actually tries to get Nathalie to the hospital, but unfortunately Nathalie stops her, as there's no medicine in the world that can actually help her in this situation. Then she tells Marinette the truth, that she did use she was the ex-user of the Peacock Miraculous this whole time, and when it was still broken. And because it was still broken and she used it, her health deteriorated and she used it multiple times. Now, she didn't say that she was either forced to do this or she actually chose to. She just says this as it was the truth, but to be honest, I think Ladybug can actually put one and one together at this point, right? Of course, we don't know what Marinette will be thinking at this point, but all is going for certain is that Nathalie wants Ladybug to actually help and stop Gabriel, also known as Monarch, as I think Nathalie now knows that Ladybug was here the whole time. The thing is that later, for her last attempt to basically convince Ladybug that she is on their side, she gives her the phone that was Emily's phone with the message on it, that it would be all for what Emily would have wanted, basically. Marinette basically still in shock, doesn't know exactly what to do. After Nathalie says to transform back, like de-transform, she asks why, but Nathalie now is in a permanent state of, well, we could say a permanent state of unconsciousness, because I don't think she's actually dead, but if she is dead, that's a bit quite somber. Also a little anticlimactic, but then again, it's not exactly anticlimactic, but that would be a bad way to go out now. I think if she... Oh, I don't want to be so dark here, but if she died like maybe in the second part, or maybe when all this is over, that would be a bit better. But yeah, if she dies now, I don't think she deserves to die now. That's my opinion. But most likely, yeah, we'll just say she's like, for now, permanently unconscious for the rest of the episode. The plan is in fruition. Now they're gonna deactivate the Alliance, the app, of course, and now framing that Ladybug and Cat Noir kidnap Adrien and Kagami. I know that one of them sounds a little ironic, but that's what they had the information on, and that's kind of the reason why. So they deactivate them, but then later they'll reactivate them using the powers of the other Kwamis that Monarch has, and the Lucky Charm, the Lucky Amulet, I should say, which I think is now called, of course, now we have an official name. I would just call it the Charm that Ladybug gave to Gabriel, and of course the Cataclysm residue on his decayed hand. Now with this DNA, with this magic DNA pattern, he can now track where Ladybug and Cat Noir are at all times with the Alliance. Now he'll reactivate the apps once again, and this time as Gabriel, he'll basically give them a message in order to actually protect themselves and help find Adrien and Kagami. He says basically the magic words to actually help and not be akumatized anymore is to say, Alliance, miraculize me. And of course, the first person to do this is Ivan. Ivan basically transforms into this mannequin-looking thing, honestly. He does look thinner, so it's most likely a way just to, like, you know, make easy way to save money, because, you know, drawing the models to act with them in different suits is gonna be, like, time-consuming, honestly. Makes sense, honestly. It's a good way. And most minions are always like this. Now everybody here realized this, and they're trying to convince Ivan to basically take out the ring. Unfortunately, Ivan's not listening, so they all jumped at him. Surprisingly. After this, Alya realized Plague was there, basically, just hiding, waiting for the perfect time. Plague's first idea was to basically give the Miraculous to Alya. Now Alya says that, yeah, she doesn't have any chance, right? She doesn't have another choice, I should say. Not a chance, she doesn't have another chance. She doesn't have another choice, I should say. Yeah, that's what I try to say. Either way. Alya, of course, later has to refuse because she just tells the nightmare to Plague. And she says the possibility that since she still has the negativity, it's the same thing as Adrien. Plague already gets it. She might get akumatized and just destroy the world, yada yada yada. So Plague's only decision right now is to find Ladybug. All the alliances point to the location of Ladybug, and it's inside the Gabriel house. Tsurugi did tell Gabriel, or at least Monarch I should say, and Monarch's like, okay, this things will get interesting, but then again, she knows that this is a stupid place to hide, or something to say like that. He doesn't know half of it, but that's what he's assuming. So everybody here is basically ganging up on Marinette, and there's a lot of, well, Ladybug, but I mean Marinette and Ladybug are the same. I don't know why I'm trying to make it proper or something, I don't know. Either way, Ladybug's here, basically surrounded. All these guys right here, all these miraculized mannequins, are actually all over the house. They all just invaded the house for some reason. And of course, the Gabriel house is also locked up, secure, in lockdown with metal walls on the windows and stuff like that. But yeah, they all have the same powers, and they can use any power of the Miraculous they can choose that were captured by Monarch. The only ones they cannot use is the peacock because it's gone, the moth or the butterfly because you know who already has it, Ladybug's because obvious, and Cat Noir's because obvious. Those are the only 4 powers they cannot use. Every other power anybody can use at any time. And now, yeah, a brawl pursues here. We go back to Plague's point of view, and he sees all these lasers pointing into the house. So Plague flies in here, but that also includes everybody else as well. Plague sees his opening and he goes into one of the Voyage portals and he's then later teleported into the house. Ladybug is really running away for her life. Then she hides in a sink and realizing that Nathalie's last words was to transform back. You know, de-transform, right? So she did. She de-transforms and everybody lost track of her. Unfortunately, Monarch knows that Ladybug is still here, so he comes down himself and tries to hunt for her. Plague finally founds Ladybug, or at least Marinette, but drops the ring because the ring is solid, and he cannot break it through, unfortunately. Marinette later grabs the ring. Both Marinette and Tiki ask why Cat Noir is not here. Plague makes the excuse that, you know, Cat Noir is fall under the Alliance spell, basically. Monarch basically into the kitchen and then finds Ladybug, or so he thought. Now, I think Gabriel at this point, unless he's dumb, he actually puts 2 and 2 together. He thought it was Ladybug, but he found Marinette instead. He was just pretty much confused and surprised. So, but I think he can basically tell put 2 and 2 together that Marinette is Ladybug. But if that wasn't enough to convince him, Ladybug basically unified the Ladybug and the Cat Miraculouses. She used unification, so she's now, you know, the mixture of both Ladybug and Cat Noir, and then kicks Monarch in the face. So if that wasn't enough, yeah, Marinette just transforms into Ladybug right in front of Monarch, confirming his suspicions while also having a concussion. And then we have the birth of Lady Noir? Or is it something else? I don't know. Got the name. She just said it. Lady Noir, possibly. I'm just gonna keep it like that. Or is it Chatba? No, that's not it. So it must be just the Lady Noir, honestly. Or Bug Noir. It's one of those two. But yeah, we do see, of course, a few angle shots of what she looks like now. She looks pretty nice, and to be honest, I really like the design here. It somehow works, even though it looks funny. But this is where we end the episode. So yeah, that's the end of the episode. Overall, it's really good. I would say this is an 8 out of 10. It's a pretty high stakes, action-packed episode, but it is basically the normal high of the series, basically. At the very end, it's like super up there because we finally see Marinette using the power of the Ladybug and the Cat Miraculous. But the thing is that, yeah, I'm gonna say this is like kind of very similar to at least the stakes of all part 1s. I would say like every single part 1 of the season finales, every season finale part 1 is like always an 8 out of 10 because it's like pretty much good, a little high average to everything else in the series because it's the build up to part 2. And yeah, it's always an automatic 8 out of 10, but maybe for me I'll put this like a 9 out of 10 or an 8.5 because, you know, it is the season finale for this one. It's hype as the F word. I don't know if I could say it on YouTube now, but like, yeah, it's just really hype. That's about it. There's not much to go on of, but it is the greatest build-up for a season finale. Besides the season 2 finale, the season 2 finale was like the best one. So I'm wondering if this one could, you know, trump that over? Who knows? Either way, that's it for the video. Again, 8 out of 10 on average. It's like your very much typical part 1 of the season finales. It's a very good build-up, but nothing to expect. But it's, at least they're very consistent on all these build-ups, basically, on part 1s. Hopefully part 2 will carry out, and part 2 will affect what part 1 is. And that will be next week. Why? Because, like I said on my previous video, hopefully I actually said that for my previous Miraculous review, every Miraculous review is going to be on Monday, until we finish Season 5, which is almost. So next week, next Monday, Part 2. Hope to see you there. Take care.